Good evening. Welcome to the Dugout. It's match day -1, just 1 day away from the second Test match series at 1-0. And despite India doing everything right, I would still say in that first Test match, barring a few mistakes here and there. But if you take a look at that majority of the Test match, I think India did the best that they could. And yet they find themselves 1-0 down. But what that also means is that it will give them a lot of confidence going into the next Test match. And I think both teams will go in equally confident of winning that Test match. This Test match will also have slightly different conditions to what you get in Leeds. So will that favor India or England? If you take a look at the record, then it's overwhelmingly in favor of England. Just as Gabba is a fortress for Australia, Edgbaston has been that fortress for England, especially against India. I think 8 Test matches that they played, never lost, only 1 draw, 7 losses for India, and that's not a great record going into this Test match. We'll dwell into various aspects of this Test match because this is, of course, a big preview. We'll take a look at the pitch conditions and how that is going to play out. Also take a look at the team combination based on what the captain has just said. So the press conference has just gotten over. There's already a live video about the 2 major points that he's mentioned. I'll just mention those 2 points and then maybe we'll debate as to whether they are right in doing that. And 2 big indications that he's given. One, that Jasprit Bumrah is available but has not said he will play. Pretty much what Rant and Dashkate said yesterday. The captain has said the same thing, but he said we will decide our 11 later and Bumrah is available. He's left it at that. Now there are various ways of looking at it and that we'll debate and dwell at, and I'm sure each of us will also have a different way of looking at it. The second bit that he's mentioned, and I think that there is no ambiguity like Bumrah, I think that he's made pretty much clear, at least that's what I feel, is that 2 spinners are going to be playing. He said that it may sound strange to play 2 spinners in England, but I missed another spinner in Leeds, because even if you don't pick up wickets, at least they stem the flow of runs, and that is also needed to block one end up. And with his fast bowlers leaking the runs as the way that they did, he probably needed a little bit more support for Jadeja to stem the flow of runs. I think that is what Shubman Gill meant, which is a clear-cut indication he's going with those 2 spinners. So we'll throw open the discussion and plenty to talk about. I think it's going to be a long marathon session today at the Dugout. First bit, let's talk about Jasprit Bumrah. Is it just lip service to keep the opposition guessing, you think? It's gamesmanship? Or are they really keeping that option open? And as it sometimes happens with the Indian team, they actually do make their 11 on the eve of the game, and they will be making the 11 on the eve of the game.
I think it's obviously lip service. You want to keep England guessing, and that's
so
what...
you mean they're decided in their mind?
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
The press conference, so that...
Absolutely, they have decided.
Mind games.
Yeah. That's what even, AB de Villiers said the other day, that, maybe India are trying to trick England here, because who knows? They continuously say this thing that Bumrah might just play 3 matches or 4 matches, but who knows, towards the end he could end up playing 5 matches. That's what ABD said. But then I think that's what at least I believe, looking at the pattern, the trend, with this Indian cricket team. They are definitely decided as to what 11 they want to field. Maybe I think if there's one thing that they are yet to decide upon is to who could really be that second spinner, something that will come to discussion later. But I think they have finally made a decision on Bumrah as to whether he's playing or not playing. But personally, what
do you think is the decision?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
No, not your personal decision.
But what could be?
What do you think they've decided?
I think Bumrah is not playing. Yeah. See, I understand the fact that India need Bumrah on pitches wherein you don't really have that much offering, from the track here. It could really be a flat track, and we know what Bumrah is capable of. Case in point being what he did in the first Test in Leeds. Took a 5-wicket haul, although could not do much in the second innings. But then I feel that he was overbowled. So better to have that extra extended rest time for him before he gets ready for the Lord's Test. And what I feel is that what the management is probably thinking is to make sure that he gets ready for the 3rd Test. That way, that's basically a pitch wherein even if Lord's turns out to be a flat track, you would still, want to play him with the history of the ground there known as the Mecca of cricket. You would want Bumrah to be there, and even if you are 2-0 down or even if it's 1-1, I think Bumrah must play at Lord's. This time around, with the quotes of Chris Wokes, who attended the press conference yesterday, he himself said that it could once again be a 5-day contest. It could once again be a tough test for the bowlers. And keeping all these things in mind, I would not play Bumrah, and at least from the management's perspective, I think they would also want to rest him.
But the management...
Have they decided, or they're actually, you think, going to be deciding?
I think they would have made a decision by now. You've had plenty of time. It's not like, the two test matches were close to the heels of each other, as will be the case between test matches 2 and 3. This time around, you've had one proper week to decide whether you want to play Bumrah or not. You know the conditions. There's a few things you knew already. A few you would have learnt after you reached the venue. And nothing new, for that matter, that you would have known from the venue to dissuade you from playing Bumrah or persuade you more to play a Bumrah, because you're already 1-0 down in the series. If you were to ask me, given all the indicators I've seen what the team management does, keeping of course workload in mind and all the scientific reasons in mind as to what works out the best for Bumrah's body, that is something I don't know. But if you ask me, from the evidence I see, Bumrah could be playing tomorrow, and personally speaking, I'd like to see Bumrah play tomorrow, because I'd like to believe he's had enough rest. And I'll again go back to that optional session we were talking about the other day as well. A couple of days back at the same venue, there was an optional session, and you would have had clarity on Bumrah. Even by then, you would have had enough information about how his health, how his body is going to hold up, all the scientific data, all your DEXA tests, all of that you have now to have a certain whether he's going to be playing or not. So in that optional session, we saw him bowl full tilt. He wasn't bowling with half a run up, as we see often with players who just want to take it easy on their body. I'd like to see Bumrah bowl tomorrow, and I won't be surprised if that's the case.
It's a real interesting one, the entire Bumrah thing. I also agree that I don't think they've not made a call on that. I'm sure they have. They already know whether he's playing or not. But there are enough indications to show that he may be playing, but there are also enough indications to show he may not be playing. So, like indication 1 that he's playing, supposing you wanted to rest him, he didn't really need to come for 2 practice sessions and bowl full tilt, and he was bowling enough of that. Yes, supposing you want to just be in the rhythm, you come, you bowl a bit. Even 1 day would have been enough. He didn't have to come for 2 days. And when you come for 2 days, then it is kind of telling me that you want to be in rhythm to play this test match. That's one thing. Second thing is, if you don't play him this test match, then you'll have to play him test match 3 and 4, and there's just a 3-day gap.
You'll play 3 and 5 then.
No, but then how you don't play him in Manchester? You can't do that. That's what I'm trying to say. So then how do you play him 3 and 4? In which case you will have just a 3-day gap.
No, but there is a gap between 3 and 4. There's actually about an 8-day gap between 3 and 4.
3 and 4 there's a gap.
Yeah.
3 and 4
there's
there's
not,
a gap.
There's no gap between 2 and 3. There's no gap between 2 and 3.
So you're saying they play him 3 and 4 then?
They will have to then. There's no other option.
There's going to be enough gap. Now, let's say, let's
see,
assume.
by 5 the series is done and dusted.
But see, if you take a look at that gap, there's already been that enough gap now, and you've not utilized that.
Exactly my point. The other thing also,
like it's a week-long gap, and you've rested him. Why not?
It makes a big difference. I was listening to the thoughts of Mark Wood as well, who we know will be taking part, but by the time
fifth test,
by the time you'll probably know who the winners of the series are. But he says the same thing, that India don't want to go 2-0, heading into the London Test match, and the best chances of winning over here at a venue where you haven't done much. Bumrah is well rested. You have to have him play over here.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. And secondly, I mean, I looking at the conditions, people say that play him on helpful conditions, fast bowling conditions. I actually look at it the other way around. I feel that in helpful conditions, you could still manage with, let's say, Akashdeep, Arshdeep, whoever comes in, will still pick wickets in helpful conditions, whether that's Manchester, whether that's Lords. I mean, at least 2 places where there will be some help for fast bowling. It'll be the flat pitches where some of these bowlers look helpless. Now, if you take a look at some of India's famous wins overseas, where young bowlers have done well, for example, Gabba has won. It was a pitch that allows you assistance. So that young bowling lineup could also pick up wickets. That's what tends to happen. So if it's a flat track, then if I go with an Arshdeep without any help, then I'm looking at a much longer time spent while I'm fielding, and that is not what I would want my team to do. I mean, if that has been my approach, at least I will not play him on helpful conditions.
Then I actually fear that 2011, I think it was, that you conceded all those 700 odd
runs.
No,
don't remind me of that test match. I was there at the ground.
So what?
I have seen.
So I'm saying, given what we've seen in the first match, and if the pitch is going to be not too far away or not too different,
it won't be like that.
From that, then there's runs on offer is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it can't be that 2011 test match. Nothing can come.
294.
No, India got out, but they made 700, 430 odd lead.
Or 93, whatever that Cook scored.
They took a 400 run lead, but at that time, India was a team that was on decline. People had gotten injured, people had gone back. There was that motivation missing from the entire team, the high of the 50 over World Cup. It wasn't there in Test cricket, injury happening. I mean, there was a lack of energy within that team, and of course personnel also kept going. So personnel is still fine. It happened in BGT also, you had people get injured, but at least the drive was there. That was clearly missing. I don't think that is going to happen, but the larger point is that I would want Bumrah to play. For me, with this big gap, I mean, if you ask me what the team is doing, I think the team may not be playing him, because I'll tell you, if they were playing him, then they wouldn't be saying he's available, we'll take a call or whatever. Because the media report had suggested about 5-6 days ago only that he's not going to be playing. Then typically if he's playing, then they would say that these are all baseless things and whatever is floating around. He's available, he's playing. Where is the doubt that is there? Something like that. The fact that they're saying no, he's available, but we'll take a call, is probably to keep the opposition guessing. But if you ask me, I don't think it makes any sense to not have Bumrah right now. You're 1-0 down in the series. If you're 2-0 down, then you play Bumrah wherever you want to play. It just doesn't make sense for me. And flatter conditions, all the more the Indian team needs him. Plus, third point, he's had enough of a break. So for me, he should play. Coming to but the larger thing also, I will say that in case Bumrah doesn't play, which seems like the case, that's not all doom and gloom for India. I think I've said it before that you need to prepare for a life without Bumrah. Yeah. So get ready for it. Give the youngsters a chance. Who knows? Bumrah doesn't play, India go on to win a famous test match. That's another thing which we'll remember. Maybe a young bowler, comes up to the occasion, shine. That's another thing. But to the other point, that I think, firstly, I felt that he's kind of told you that two spinners are playing. Is that correct, or is that also an assumption?
I think, that's absolutely correct. I think it's about reading in between the lines, and Gill clearly mentioned that in the previous test, we missed a spinner, and even if, that extra spinner would not have taken those wickets, he would have at least restricted the run flow. I think that's clearly an indication, and going by Chris Stokes' comments also yesterday, that it could really be a belter of a track once again. India are definitely fielding two spinners. Who could they be? I think I'm still not sure about it. I don't think, Ravindra Jadeja would make the cut. At least, that's what I'm getting a feeling. It could be Washington Sundar and Kuldeep Yadav, could be Jadeja. Kuldeep Yadav could be the other two options also. But two spinners are playing, and one for me, who looks like to be a sure shot starter, is Kuldeep Yadav. But if you play Ravindra Jadeja and Washington Sundar,
but reports suggest that
it's a blunder.
Yeah, but reports suggest that
it's not
Kuldeep is not playing.
Why are you playing Washington Sundar as a spinner? You hardly used him in the Border Gavaskar Trophy.
Yeah.
Even I don't.
If you're looking at taking
10 overs in an innings.
I agree.
If you're looking at
Completely
taking
agree.
20 wickets, then you need a specialist to do that for you. To help you get to that number. It's not going to be a Washington Sundar. He can go ahead and have a good match, but I'm just saying that a Kuldeep Yadav, a specialist spinner is a specialist spinner, a specialist fast bowler is a specialist fast bowler for a reason. And if your main objective is to pick 20 wickets, then I don't understand how you're going to do it with bowlers who've not done enough of test bowling in recent times. Forget doing it in Sena countries.
I mean, I'm not exactly like that, but if you do end up playing Washington Sundar as an out-and-out spinner and not Kuldeep Yadav, it's akin to playing Nitish Kumar Reddy and as an all-rounder, where you're thinking that he will give you something with the ball. Yes, if you're playing him as a batter, I have no issues with that. as one of the batters in the slot as a batter, because he did get 100 in Australia and played a couple more gritty knocks. So fine, if you believe in his talent, go with it. But don't come up with this that he can do something with the ball, because that's just a smoke screen. That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Same with the Washington Sundar as well. I think if you were to say that bowling is something that he will come up with. I mean, what Shubman has said, that he would want people to stem the flow of runs, and that's why he's going, and there's logic in that, whatever. But I'm not too sure that Washi will also be able to stem the flow of runs. So one, you have said, in which you started the series by saying that we have to get 20 wickets, that we cannot compromise. And then for that you need to play 5 bowlers. I'm not sure how much Washington contribute in getting your wickets. So that goal of achieving 20 wickets is not getting any easier. And you will have to be dropping a Shardul Thakur, who I think is the probability of him taking wickets is higher than Washi in that case. So that you're doing. And in terms of even stemming the flow of runs, I don't think he's the ideal candidate to be doing that. I mean, Jadeja, I can agree that if you give him that responsibility, at least is good with that, finishes overs fast, can bowl in the rough or whatever, keep the batter guessing and can do that job at least, and with which you play him. But for anything else, I'd be surprised if Washi plays. So +1 on that. I know 2 spinners are definitely playing. It's given a thing. Those 2 spinners, please let it not be Jadeja and Washington Sundar. I'm happy for it to be Washington Sundar, Kuldeep Yadav, or Jadeja, Kuldeep Yadav also. I'll take that. Any of this combination. But Kuldeep Yadav is a must, I feel. You cannot not have Kuldeep
What
Yadav.
is it that you wanted? What is it that you realized in Leeds, that you need wicket-taking bowlers? That's what made you struggle on last day. The fact that there was nobody to complement a Jasprit Bumrah in the final 2 sessions, and then came that second big session for England where the match completely changed. And if you're looking at people with genuine wicket-taking ability, then after the Jasprit Bumrah, I'm sorry, I'm missing out on a few names here, but Kuldeep Yadav is the only name that comes to my mind. And you're forced to be in a situation where you have to look at a Kuldeep Yadav regardless of the conditions now. Now you need to forget the conditions, because what you've come to realize is that other fast bowlers are not complementing a Jasprit Bumrah the way that they should be. That is something that you saw in the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and you sort of realize that in the first Test match as well. So you need people with prior expertise who come with a certain track record. He knows this English side very well. Kuldeep Yadav, he's picked up 21 odd wickets against England, although 19 of those were in that series that he played a year and a half back in India. But that's to say that he knows at least the opposition very well. He knows their strengths. He's been preparing for it for a while now, as we know. He has the thoughts of a Kevin Peterson in his mind as well. He was during the IPL training with him also. So if you're looking at people with genuine wicket-taking ability and doesn't need the conditions, you put him, if he's asked to deliver a ball on a glass slab as well, he'll make the ball spin over there as well or get something out of it. So he comes in with all those abilities, and you must try him out.
Jadeja's form though is a concern. So if he gets dropped, I was just seeing the last 100 odd overs that he's bowled, his strike rate and averages are in like 80 plus, and strike rate is 100 plus, something like that. That's absolute abysmal numbers for him. Last 5 Test matches.
So that's what
basically getting to that.
100 overs
only,
then would be
that.
the BGT then.
Yeah, the last 5 Test matches, 100 odd overs, has about just about 4-5 wickets to show.
Yeah. It's last 4 Test matches, 110 overs, 5 wickets at an average of 78.
Yeah, there you go. In fact, if you just extend that to last 5, then it's even worse than that. So, I mean, those numbers are alarming, but I still will have him if you really want to, stem the flow of runs, get some batting out of him, and you need that experience. But with a Kuldeep alongside him, I'll still go with it. Or then you go with Kuldeep and Washi, even when that's another option that you can look at.
I think one thing that really worries me is the kind of mindset that this team has shown, ever since the Border Gavaskar Trophy, believing in more of, bits and pieces players. That's where, you played the likes of both Nitish Reddy, Washington Sundar, and then you just went in with about 2 or 3 pacers there. The point here is that from what I can infer from what Gill basically said, that even if the second spinner and an extra spinner does not really pick wickets, it's still important to play him because he can stem the run flow. I think if I have to take that into consideration, then Washington Sundar is playing. Then I think it's Ravindra Jadeja and Washington Sundar who are playing, and that worries me because that, in a way,
But Sundar does not stem the flow of runs. Yeah.
But the point is, see, you would only make that comment in case of Washington Sundar. You would never make that comment in case of Kuldeep Yadav that he can stem the run flow. Because in case of Kuldeep Yadav, the mindset always is of the fans and the team that he is a wicket taker.
But you also say 20 wickets. Now, then you will not say that in.
But that's the other way of
But this
Gulati,
is the-
as they say, the best dot ball, as Sunny ji so often says, stemming the flow of runs, less runs, the best dot ball is a wicket taking delivery.
Yeah, absolutely. But then.
So you could infer that as well.
No, it's. See.
Run flow stopping, but you're getting
No,
wickets
he
also.
makes a valid point, but I'm saying that there is a contradiction there because they've also been harping on 20 wickets.
Correct.
So if you're now harping on 20 wickets, then it cannot be what? I mean, no offense. I think Washi as a batter will do much better than Jadeja also. So he has that quality. But the thing is, Washi, even in IPL, was not getting any bowling in his IPL franchise.
He was batting number
and
4.
If you're playing for an IPL franchise where you're not going to be getting your 4 overs with a white ball, where he still, I think, can be more effective and be of more utility with white ball. Red ball spin is a different craft. It requires a very high level of skill to be picking up wickets in red ball cricket, where the batter will make it much more tougher for you. And I don't think Washi has that level of skill to be a regular wicket taker in test match cricket. That's, I mean, he can induce a false stroke, or they're going extra aggro, that's another thing. But I see with Jadeja, okay, he's gone through a bad phase, but you know that there have been times where he's picked truckloads of wickets as well, you know, when conditions
But that
kind
has
of
obviously come in,
helped him.
home conditions. Apart from that,
No,
there
but
have
if
been
you
very
remember-
handful of contributions.
Yeah, but if you remember, he was a lot of times favoured ahead of Ashwin as well in
Because of
overseas
his batting.
conditions. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He has that experience, has played. But between a Washi and a Jadeja, if you ask me who's going to pick up more wickets for me, I'll still go with a Jadeja, despite his poor form. Though I know his form is of a concern that we mentioned. But I'm saying, yeah, for batting, I may still go with Washi, who I think will definitely be a better bat than Jadeja.
And that's what
without
basically
doubt.
worries me. Because if you're looking at Washington Sundar as the second spinner, then you're not really looking at him as a second spinner. You're basically playing him because you know that he's a spinner who would strengthen your batting, which once again, takes me back to Border Gavaskar Trophy. You did the same exact thing, and the result was never going to be in your favor.
You were looking for tidbits, a little bit of tidbits and everything.
Exactly my point.
And that should be the learning. The one learning from BJT, squad selection and the playing 11 has to be that you go with specialists and you don't go with whatever tits-bit player, bits and pieces, whatever you call, or a little bit of something that everyone offers. You don't want all those guys. Maybe just one pure all-rounder is good enough in the team, but otherwise if you want those 20 wickets, you need specialists in the side.
Okay, let's turn our attention to the game itself. Whichever team the Indian team plays, it's going to be an uphill task because, as we mentioned earlier, Edgbaston not a happy hunting ground for the Indian team. 8 test matches, not a single win. One of the biggest losses here has come in 2011. The closest I think they came was 2018, that Virat Kohli match where I think they fell short by 30 odd runs. Came very close to winning. That's the only time they've had a draw overall in all these years, but not a great venue as such. This exact question was asked to Shubman Gill, I believe, quite rudely by an English media person, saying, oh, your team has not done well. And it's not just about, sometimes you can ask it as a matter of fact question, but that's not what I think he did. It was condescending and more to put pressure on the player and remind him to. So firstly, the question, that doesn't surprise me because, oftentimes I've not said it. Mr. Gavaskar, in fact, says it so many times that English media is like the 12th man of the England team. They try to do that, create pressure and, do all that. But the good thing is Indian team over the years have learned that this is part of the tactics and they reply back to them in the same coin, and which Shubman Gill did too. But I was a bit baffled by Shubman's reply as well. He says, I liked his reply of, answering him on the front board. It says, this is the best Indian team to come to England. That takes me back to, everyone thinks they're the best team. Ravi Shastri used to say, this is the best Indian team. This is the best team to tour abroad. Now Shubman is saying, this is the best team. So, what do you think? This is the best Indian team to go to England?
Did he mean this is the best of the lot that we have over here.
No, even if
No,
this
best Indian
best-
team. Best of the
but-
lot though is a given, na. Why will somebody take a second screen team? You
No,
take
we
the
can
best.
argue for players who've gone missing.
Obviously
Players
not.
who played the air tour and were sent back.
Arey, but why does he have to? In his mind, though, it's the best
He's
team.
the
He's the
best team.
captain, na.
I was just being sure.
He said this is the best team to have come to England.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
it's good to have that confidence, but even if this Indian team goes on to win the series 4-1, they would still not be the best Indian cricket team.
But then they will be, na.
No, absolutely
Which team has
not.
won a series
See,
in
it's going to-
England like that?
Rahul Dravid. No, obviously not comprehensively, but
not
2007.
4-1, 2007.
Yeah, whatever.
71 also the Indian team won.
And
I
then
don't think so.
86.
Yeah, 2-0.
But overall, I think this team still has a lot to achieve. Even if you win in England, let's say you lose in any of the other Sena countries, you would still not be called the best team. So I would only say that it's a great start if that happens.
It sounds like a fairy tale start to me right now.
I just hope that Shubman didn't mean that. I just hope he said it to shut the journalist up. You know, like, because there was a rude question asked, and to a rude question you sometimes give a bombastic
reply.
sort of a reply so that, you know, you put him in the place. And if that was his approach, that's pretty good. But I hope he doesn't mean it, because then this starts a bad trend of
No, this
I am
could-
the greatest, my team is the best. I have
This
the
could
great-"
also-
as if you're the first generation of people that are playing cricket or have toured England, and before you there were no Indian teams that went.
We did have an Indian captain from 2014 until 2021. Indeed, the best Indian captain in Test cricket, or one of the best, I would say. Even after losing to England 4-1 in 2018, he's like, we are still the best team in the world. And I was shocked
So
because the
that's
manner of those losses,
That's what I'm
they
saying.
clearly said.
That trend is scary. Everyone think the best
No,
team.
but
won.
when you say something like
Ah,
that,
because
this
remember
can
there was
backfire
this
as well.
No, there was this argument that happened with Virat where he said, "No, what do you think?" You remember with the journalist?
Yeah, absolutely. It happened during that tour only.
Ah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
In-
Well, I think. He said, "No, according to me, then."
In my mind, I have to believe that this is the best team in the world. Yeah.
Will you drop a Rohit
But
Sharma?
but if
Is
he really
that the question?
Ah.
You remember that one?
no, if he certainly means that, I don't think Shubman meant it, because if he means that, then you've just come here without Virat and Rohit. Those fan armies will tear him apart. They'll be waiting for him to lose. So that you can, sometime to push others, you get your own fans also coming at you. So not a wise thing to say, but I think he must have just said it to, put the reporter off. Okay, the one very exciting thing that we always do ahead of a test match, which I really enjoy, is take a look at the pitch. Though we are miles away from it, but as wise men have said that even if you're standing on the pitch, there's no exact science. So it doesn't matter whether you're looking at it from standing on top of the pitch or miles away from it. So these are the latest pictures, I believe, of the Edgbaston track. Yes, thoughts, gentlemen?
The time that we do this segment, I miss Virender Sehwag, yaar. The one line that he says, like couple of times I went and saw the pitch. Kya pitch? What color? What black, red, blue, soil, whatever it is. जाओ बॉल देखो मारो. ये मेरे को pitch कभी समझ नहीं आई. So yeah, but jokes aside, it does have that brown tinge, if you ask me. It looks more in comparison. I remember we had, we were micro-analyzing the Leeds pitch as well. We were talking about 8 grass. It'll be given a shaving. It'll again be the same things we can talk about.
So with this, I don't think there'll be any more shaving.
With this, exactly.
This is the final look.
The one difference that I see from that time to this one is, this one leaves very less scope of shaving, or maybe none at all.
No. There is no shaving. I'll tell you why. They would have also shaved it
This
a
one.
day prior in Leeds. They would have shaved it a day prior. The reason they didn't, because as you know, Leeds had a very dry spell.
Yeah.
So they did not, because if they had shaved it earlier on, then there were chances that it could have cracked later in the test match. So they tried to leave the grass till the 11th hour, like right before the test match. Leave it as much as you can so that it binds till 5 days. And if you see how it played out, it was a batting paradise, alright. But I mean, the purpose was solved of having it, bound together very well. But here, it's not been the case in Birmingham to that extent. It's not been that dry. So they've shaved off, and this is the actual pitch.
Yeah,
that
it does
you're
look
going
like,
to get.
and which is why I say T-1. When I compare the two pitches, this one looks ready, and this one looks a little more browner than the previous one. That little bit of grass that we see, I think it'll be gone in a day and a half.
You think this is more brown than Leeds? No, I think Leeds was more brown than this. If you take up a wider look where you can actually see the tinge of the color
I'm
of the
saying
pitch.
T-1 I'm comparing.
No, but this
Not
is
the
gonna
pitch.
be
No,
much,
but this
nah.
is the. You have to
Yeah.
talk about the real pitch. No, this is the real pitch now, and the real pitch that you saw at Leeds. If you see the full image, not a close-up image, but a full image, that's where you actually get to see the thing. I think this maybe. I mean, it's not much to choose from. We just. Clutching at straws. But this does
batting
seem to
track.
have a little bit more of grass than there was in Leeds. No, that is 100% sure. I mean, Edgbaston also, as we've seen, if you take a look at the last few Test matches, 300 plus have been consistently scored. But the thing is that unlike Leeds, where even when you're scoring 400, 450 sort of runs and you ended up losing, I don't think that's the case that you will have in Edgbaston now if you take a look at the last few games. So predominantly, I mean, if you get 350, it's a good total, anywhere between 350, 370, in any part of the Test match, it becomes a healthy total, which tells you that it's a good batting pitch, but it offers something for the bowlers. It's not going to be as much of toil and hard work for bowlers as you saw in Leeds. So bowlers will be breathing a bit of a sigh of relief, but even batters will also get runs. So I think a much more closer competition between bat and ball than what you saw in Leeds is what you're going to get here. The other thing that I was noticing that, again, last 5 or 6 Test matches, it's the fast bowlers that have been doing the job here. The only spinner who's been exceptional, but then he is exceptional, is Nathan Lyon. So he's good.
And Shane Warne.
No, I'm talking about last 5,
6
6
years, last 2 Ashes.
6 years.
Yeah, we're talking
So because the nature of Edgbaston changed. At one point it used to be a very fast track. It's now changed to a batting. This is the track where last time when India were playing, they chased down 378. So it has tend to become a batting track. But in that period, it's mostly been the fast bowlers that have done well, whether the New Zealand fast bowler, the English fast bowler, they've all been doing. I think West Indies also played a game. Their fast bowlers also picked up wicket. But the only spinner who usually spinners have been taking 1 or 2 wickets per innings on an average in the last 5-6 Test matches. But one guy who's been taking like 4 wickets in an inning, 4 wickets in the other inning.
Wickets.
Who's been picking 6-8 wickets in a Test match? Nathan Lyon, but he's good, so not counting him. Other spinners have found it tough. So then it becomes a bit surprising that India will go in with 2 spinners. But I guess probably the right call for the logic that Shubman mentioned. Also, you should go in with your best bowlers, right? If that is your strength, you go with that.
Something I think a legendary guy would say, looks to be more greener than the first Test at Leeds. Despite that, England would fancy batting second here.
And because they like to chase.
Yeah.
Oh, because Ben Stokes said it again. That even I was reading Harry Brook also saying 450 we'll be happy to chase, and even Ben Stokes was saying pretty okay. And then they'll have memories of that 378.
And they are getting there.
Yeah, they are. But this one will also have some juice to begin with.
I think first innings.
Yeah.
Not more than that. First innings I think would be crucial.
I think again, this if England winning are winning the toss, I see them bowling first again.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't mind batting second.
Quite possible. What do you think now that we've heard India's team looking like to you? What do you think is not your team? We picked our own team yesterday. But now that you've heard the skipper?
Top 6 remains the same. I don't think there's going to be a change in that. Jaiswal, Rahul, Sai Sudarshan, Shubman Gill, Rishabh Pant and Karun Nair.
So you don't think Nitish Kumar Reddy is coming?
No, I don't think he's coming.
Because 7. He was being seen in the slips, fielding, batting a lot, so just ask.
Yeah.
Plus, Brandon Deshkate said yesterday.
Everyone has a good chance to play. That's what he said.
No, he's the premier batting all-rounder. He's very close to getting a game, all that he said. But you think he's now not come?
That's the top 6. No changes there. Number 7, I think it will be Ravindra Jadeja. 8, Washington Sundar. And then you go with 3 seamers. Prasidh Krishna, Mohammad Siraj for sure. I think 11th, if I just have to go by the practice sessions, I think it could be AajTak. But that's the 11 that I feel India will play.
Yeah, I want to know that. We picked ours yesterday.
Yeah.
What do you think now that you've heard everything? What is
2
India
spinning
playing?
all-rounders in Jadeja and Washi, and 3 proper fast bowlers.
Like you would definitely play Kuldeep. I would play Kuldeep. You would play. But what do you think India is playing? That is what I want to know.
I think your speedsters, again, barring a Bumrah, we don't know anything about Bumrah.
So now you have to tell what do you think India is doing. You heard everything, yeah.
Top 6 to remains the same, na?
I think Bumrah could be playing.
Okay.
So tell us your 11. What do you think India is
6,
playing?
I'm not making any changes to the 6 that Gulati.
Not you. India is not.
Yeah,
making.
India is not making any changes to the top 6. 7, I do see Washington Sundar somehow fitting into that batting order. Where exactly he fits in is another point altogether. But I see and hear things which indicate that Washi could be there. So will Jadeja. So those two could be the combination.
So you think for you also India is not playing Kuldeep?
Yeah. And then you go in with a Siraj Prasidh and a Bumrah, I'd like to believe.
Siraj Prasidh and
Beat my Delulu.
No, it has to be a gut what India is playing. Yeah. Ooh, that's interesting.
You are saying 2 spin all-rounders, Bumrah, and the same bowling attack that featured in the first test.
Fast bowlers.
Fast bowling attack, yeah. Okay.
That, again, just to let you know, that's not Harshit's 11, but what he thinks India is playing. And again, this is not my 11, but what I think India is playing. Because, I mean, all of us would have had Kuldeep in the team. But... so I also think top 6 will be same, making no changes, which I think Nitish Kumar Reddy does not come in. Then there are 2 spinners for sure they are playing. And I'm just taking a punt and saying that they are playing Washi and Kuldeep. Okay.
Sounds radical.
I would like to believe that. It can
Sounds
happen.
radical.
So,
Yeah, it can happen.
I think I'm guessing what India is doing. That's not my
I'll
team.
take that. I'll take
so
that.
I think they're playing Washi and Kuldeep, and then they are playing Siraj, Prasidh, and I think Bumrah is not playing this test match, and they are playing AajTak instead. That's my guess of what the team.
No, it's actually a good guess. It actually has the possibility of being the right guess amongst all 3. That's what at least
we don't know, but at the end of the day, we're just seeing the signs of things.
See, India did not shy away to drop Ravindra Jadeja from the first couple of matches in BGT, and they are not going to shy away now.
Yeah,
it's a possibility.
So I think this.
Then you played Nitish. You started with Nitish, na?
He played all 5 matches.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think? India has any chance?
I think irrespective of
I don't.
Before we dive into the question,
if there's no Jasprit Bumrah there, I think your chances take a massive hit.
no, you go with your team. What you think is playing? In your team, Jasprit Bumrah is playing. So what do you think? You made your team. You have it in your mind. What you think India is playing?
Again, but it's not the balance that I still would like to see in an Indian team in Birmingham. So not for me are they starting ahead.
I think going by the team that I predicted that India would play, I don't think with that they stand a chance. You still have a good batting order. A few of your batters are in form. Everything, I think, pretty much, in the top 6 looks to be fine. But what I clearly feel is that there's nothing wrong with the 11 that you are playing, apart from the fact that you might just go in with maybe Jadeja or Washi ahead of Kuldeep Yadav. It's just that England are too strong. They know the conditions very well. They have a clear idea of it. With India, they're still adjusting with this 11. It's a transition that they are going through. So nothing much wrong with this team. It's just that England are too strong. So I expect them to, I think, do well in this test. I'm not going to make that prediction that who wins, but I would say England have a slight edge.
Yeah, I mean, for me as well, I mean, keeping the record at Edgbaston in mind, keeping the fact how they won the first test match, keeping the fact overall how tough it has been for Indian teams to be winning in England per se series, keeping in mind what happened the last time India played at Edgbaston and England chased a big total down. That also has, memories that some of those players who were part of that team will carry with them here. Keeping in mind that I think they're not playing Jasprit Bumrah is what I reckon in the 11 that I've made. All of these things put together clearly give the edge to England. But I would be mighty pleased if India can pull a rabbit out of the hat. It'll be akin to winning at the Gaba like the way they did, because not too many people gave them a chance, and so may not be exactly that because that was a series winning match, but this will be a series making win if they were to do it. So I think odds are stacked against India in all department. I see England ahead, but as India proved in the first test match, they can compete toe to toe. So I mean personally I'm really looking forward to this test match, because as in the first test match also it was a test for a young Indian side, and I think the young Indian side did show mettle, and if they can show another test match without a Bumrah, which I think might be the case, on a ground that really favors England and really go toe to toe again, then it augurs well for the future of Indian cricket. And I'm also looking forward to the two guys who really could not get going in Sudharsan and Karun Nair, and people started passing judgment, so we'll get a better idea if they do play as to what really the future holds for them. So yeah, can't see beyond England. Okay, let's dive in. What have we got? Mr. Shekhar GTN is here from the US. He says, good morning. Throw some light on tribunal's verdict on RCB. Okay, good question. So, Mr. Shekhar, it is actually not a verdict on RCB. So, just to let you know, the tribunal, and good you asked because I was just explaining this to my learned friends before we started this show. So, the CAT, the tribunal, is basically a quasi court which is made. It's headquartered in Delhi, but it has branches in all other states. They only look at grievances of central government employees. So any central government employee, if he has any grievance against his employers or any other grievance related to his, let's say salary, his employment, anything, he can address it to that. And then the order passed by the tribunal is binding then. Okay. So in this case, the police are the central government employees, as you know, and so they in that sense they were suspended, right, by the government. So they went to the tribunal as any government employee goes to. So they went to the tribunal, on which the tribunal has now ruled that the suspension of the police officers is wrong. Okay, RCB did not give them enough time, and in such a short span they could not have arranged the security. So the suspension of these police officers is illegal. Reinstate them. So that is what they can do, and this will now have to be followed by the government, and the suspension is then dismissed. But that tribunal has no authority to take any punitive action or any pass any sort of an order, whether it's on RCB or the event manager or any players or anything or any other party for that matter. That is left for the courts to decide. The matter is being heard in court. Who is really responsible for that? The courts will decide. Right now, that tribunal has only addressed the grievance of a government employee, for which it is, and so the suspension of those police officers has been removed. That's that, in simple words. Vishal Panchal from the US says, either let Bumrah choose test based on his fitness or back a replacement fully. He'll be out once Bumrah returns for Lords anyway. Yes, thoughts?
I think first of all, what do you need to maybe tell the likes of maybe Prasidh Krishna, Akashdeep and Arshdeep that you are obviously going to get those test matches, but the point is that once Jasprit Bumrah returns, there is a chance that you might have to sit out, and that's the kind of maybe chat or the conversation that you would want to have with them, that you would be a part of our plans, but that's going to be the case assuming Mohammad Siraj continues to be the spearhead of the attack when Bumrah does not play. Also, I mean, if you're, let's say, Akashdeep who replaces him, he's be more than happy just to get a game, knowing fully well that it's not a scenario where you'd be like, oh, I'm only getting a test match. He knows fully well that when Bumrah is there, it's like
so many times if Virat has not been playing, Rohit was out for that first test match, BGT, everyone pretty much knows that once he comes back, then I'll have to make way. So I think that's the understanding that a bowler will also go in with. Though he will still compete with others, but he'll know that if all of us put in the same performance, I probably could be the one goes out, because I've come in for a Jasprit Bumrah, and his coming back is never in doubt as such. The thing with Lords is, I know everyone keeps talking, I don't know, maybe if you leave it up to Bumrah to decide, I don't know, maybe in his mind he would want to play at Lords, because you know everyone wants name on the honours board, Pfeiffer, you know, so yeah, I guess.
Yeah, see,
Though I'm not a big fan of all of that, I think the context of the series is far more important.
And there's been far too many people on the internet, including some experts as well, who feel that he'd want to play at the grandest of all stages, iconic Lords, he'll make for very good optics, la li la da di da. But it's actually la li la da di da for me, because what's more important in the series, you go into Lords 2-0 hoping you make it 2-1 over there, that's not important. Having it 1-1, then going to Lords without a Bumrah, if that's the case, I'd rather take that. But why would you go into a test match or progress in the series 2-0 down when you can give yourself an option or an opportunity to make it 1-1?
Chili Paneer has a comment that with no Bumrah, he's least confident about Prasidh. Of the 4 options, if the pitch remains the same, best attack would be open with Arshdeep and Akashdeep, Siraj first change bowler, Jadeja and Washington Sundar should stem the run flow. Kuldeep makes batting weak, and spin never won a test in England. I'll just go by the last comment here before we address the full question, that spin never won a test in England. I think that does not mean that spin will not be able to win a test in England this time around. You play Kuldeep Yadav and your chances of winning this test would definitely be high.
Nathan Lyon,
Yeah.
last test match, I think he picked up 7 wickets or something like that in Edgbaston.
Ashes 2019 first test, the second innings, he took a 7-wicket haul. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Ask Ashwin if he
Fortress
you didn't
Edgbaston
play
was
him.
breached at that time. Yeah.
There you, I mean, I'm just saying, if it was Ashwin, that's another thing. India didn't play him very often. But if you told him that, can you win a test match? I'm sure he'd be confident.
Of course, he'll be. Yeah. He's just that personality. You know, it'll take a lot for you to challenge an Ashwin. He's that strong mentally.
Yeah.
Ashish Dhar, he doesn't like our sofa. Okay.
Ashish, yeah, we've got such good feedback about sofa, including from Harshit and his family. So everyone is saying it's nice, and you're the only one who's saying.
Yeah.
Achha, he likes the sofa. He's saying color he doesn't like. This is India's blue, yaar. Come on.
It's okay. We're family members, right? So remember, family.
No, we love
what's
the feedback.
Family analogy? Chacha likes, Bua doesn't like.
We love the feedback. Huh?
That's how it works in a family, na? We call them not viewers,
Like
family members for a reason. One thing Chacha will like, Bua will not like in a family.
Yeah. Which you were watching videos before starting. All Instagram reels they were watching.
Ashish, there is a question that assuming Jaiswal is dropped on the basis of poor fielding, who opens with
I
KL?
don't think. Come
it's
on,
a
Ashish.
wild assumption. Also wild for a parallel universe also, I think.
What your wild prediction?
What wild? It's
No,
not happening. It's NA.
It's not happening. Yashashvi Jaiswal, by the way, I was listening to this one Instagram reel that came by from, I don't know what show is, reels, in which Michael Vaughan was actually arguing in favor of Yashashvi Jaiswal to be looked at in the top 5 greatest Indian batters ever. And then he was said, maybe you mean in the future. And then he probably corrected himself that, okay, in the future. But he's right up there. Of all time India batters.
Jaiswal.
It's a push for now.
It's a push for now, but at least he sees that potential that he could finish as the top 5 greatest India batters in the league of the Tendulkars, the Gavaskars, the
Gangullis.
I mean, who knows?
Dravids,
It can.
Whatever.
But Ganguly Dravid don't make it.
Top 5.
So basically, he could
So he's
surpass
competing
Kohli.
with
That's a possibility.
No, Kohli will be there in the top 5.
Kohli will be there.
Jaiswal could
Within.
surpass him.
No,
in
he's
that
not
list.
ranking them, but to be in 5, Kohli will be there in the 5. No, so he's not surpassing Kohli, but he's joining the league. That
Too
is
early. I think he's
so
yet to.
if he's that level, then how can we drop for fielding? That's my question.
But
with this
it's a thing.
management-
Even if you're a very good batter, you don't always have the safest pair of hands.
Yeah. Now, anyway, the team has said that they might give him a rest from slip fielding. Now he'll do short leg and leg slip.
Leg slip.
Another comment by Chili Paneer that India's big problem across formats is that batters cannot bowl and bowlers cannot bat. They have too many masters. It's time for some decent jack of all trades.
Yeah, which I also agree.
So let's say,
which is
like
why I
a
said-
Root. What a Root can do, you don't have anyone in your top order. Root can chip in with those wickets.
No, but they've not needed. No, they didn't use Root last time. Did they use him?
But they used him in the
But
Ashes.
no, but that's rare. No, that's exactly what I'm saying.
So few
you-
overs, I think he bowled in the first innings.
But no, he is saying he does not want this bits and pieces. He is saying you should have out and out specialists or genuine all rounders like a Stokes. The problem is this out and out. They don't look at Root as an all rounder. No, he plays as a batter. That's it. Bowling, if need be, sometime they can give him, is another matter. But that's the problem with India. And so if you don't have all rounders, and I strictly believe go the way of Australia when they didn't have Green.
No, but he is saying that we need people who can do a little bit of everything.
No, he's saying we need all rounders.
He's saying we have too many masters. Time for some decent jacks.
Jacks, who are good. Not the ones that you make in your mind that they are jacks. That you think will.
So not like Yashasvi starts bowling his. Oh, I think he bowls leg spin.
Decent jacks. I don't know whether they're decent jacks.
Decent jacks. Or his off spin. I think Yashasvi leg spin.
Leg spin.
Leg spin, no?
Just Tilak Verma also, who bowls off spin.
Ah.
Shreyas Iyer can bowl
Tilak, I
leg
remember
spin.
West Indies he was bowling when nobody was there.
They stop also bowling. Decent jack. That is the operating.
Nitish
Not
Kumar
jacks.
Reddy was bowling. Then came an IPL in which he didn't bowl. Suddenly he's now a batter now for the Indian team also. Where we were looking at next Hardik Pandya and whatnot.
Ashish Dhar, Stokes be like, let's chase 550 odd next time around. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, actually they may be discussing that, I think. No? 450 though you said.
450.
No, but I think
Achha.
550
400
is
see.
Pushing it.
ये थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो गया.
400 they were comfy chasing in India. Now that they made it 450 in home conditions. So 50 runs is okay.
Shubham Garg is saying that if Bumrah, does not play consistently, do you think it's tough to create a pace attack as other bowlers won't get consistent chances, always under pressure when they get in? I think that's where communication has to be key. That you would need to assure someone of their place at least in the squad, even if they are not playing all the test matches. And given the kind of condition that Bumrah is in, we all know that he cannot play all the test matches. And there's going to be a good chance that a couple of bowlers who feature consistently in Asian conditions, they may not be a consistent feature in the Senna conditions. I think that's where a lot of security would have to be given. That communication would have to be regular, because let's face it, I think India need to start preparing for life after Bumrah, and it has to start now.
I mean, they will be under pressure, Shubham, but I mean, for those who will always be out whenever he comes in. But I look at it in a more positive manner. Rather than sitting out, you keep getting a few chances, you can show your talent, and then who knows, you may supersede someone else who's not been performing. So there lies an opportunity.
I like Danush's comment. He says that if Sundar plays ahead of Kuldeep, please change this into a T20 series.
Yeah, I agree. Danush, completely agree.
Yeah.
Then you have to change the name of the trophy. Anyway, such hangama happened with the name change.
It can be a good Morgan Dhoni trophy.
Morgan Dhoni.
Yeah.
I'll keep Dhoni's name first, nah. Then also there'll be
Then
hangama.
again they'll be hangama. Deepti. Reminder, after VK leaving captaincy, India has not played same 11 in 2 consecutive matches, yet he was criticized for this fact and people still make fun. That is true. In Virat's captaincy this happened, right? And after he's left captaincy, India's still not played same 11 in any test matches after that. I have to check that.
I think we'll have to check it.
Could
Because,
be possible. Could be possible.
I see. New Zealand series, you suddenly wanted to play spinners. Then after that, after Bangalore.
Yeah, there have been
And
changes.
batting also you had
consistently.
changes.
Yeah, even in that England
Patidar, Sarfraz, Jurel,
Yeah.
Padikkal is changing.
that England series was the most, I think, difficult one in terms of changes.
But
Patidar,
Ah.
Sarfaraz,
Sarfaraz,
Devdutt Padikkal,
Mukesh.
Akashdeep also made his debut at that time. Mukesh Kumar was there. Although Mukesh had made his debut earlier. Prasidh Krishna was in South Africa. So yeah, there have been multiple changes. Yeah.
Dev Pratap Singh Chauhan says, Nikhil, as someone watching from the 90s, don't you also miss typical English swinging conditions in England? That was true test of
I do.
batting. These flat, fast tracks are just like white ball
Used to be so
extension.
fun, seeing the likes of Andrew Caddick, Darren Gough, Simon Jones, Matthew Hogarth, Stephen Harmison, Ryan Sidebottom, James Anderson, and even Glenn McGrath, Brett Lee, Sean Tate, Michael Kastrovic, all these bowlers coming in. Ball used to swing every day. Zahir Khan, RP Singh, Srishant was great at that time.
Yeah, that's true.
I literally, there was no cable TV at my home. I literally had to fight with my family to let me just, go to my aunt's home, see all these matches in England. And irrespective of whether India was playing or not, I always wanted to see test matches in England at that
No,
time.
that was true for even Australia when there were test matches there. It had a different vibe to. In fact, even West Indies those days, I used to love. No matter, so start at 7:30 in the evening, still a different feel. But of course, you had at that time Curtly Ambrose and Courtney Walsh and Franklin Rose, all bowling a different feeling. England also. I mean, even before that, Chris Lewis and Gladstone Small, good. Devon Smith, quick, good bowling lineups. Yeah, I agree. I mean that was the fun bit of watching cricket because every venue was different challenge. That's gone. It's almost pretty much batting
Flat
paradise.
and fast wickets now.
Been knocked
And
out
don't
by-
even talk about Pakistan, the roads that they serve. Yeah. And talking about batting paradise, they've taken it to a next level only. Okay, last couple of questions, and then. Say Nizamuddin is saying that Akashdeep in 11. That's
He
what
did
he
have an extended session, and Bumrah was the one who was looking, when all three fast bowlers were bowling at that time.
I anyway
Siraj,
think he
Prasidh,
will-
and Akashdeep.
He will play when I think so. Okay, final comment. AJ says if India lose this series 4-0 or 5-0, then will GG be sacked from test coaching because then GG will have 3 straight test series losses?
Has any coach ever been given this kind of a go that he has lost probably 12 or 13 of his first 15 matches and still been given a long go? I don't think so. And I'm not talking about the time when India maybe
4-0,
just started
4-0?
playing.
Yeah, that's what Duncan I think was there that time.
Duncan
No.
was there at that time.
4-0, 4-0.
11, 12.
Duncan.
Yeah.
Because Curson left right after the World Cup.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
and
Was-
then Duncan was there. But then he got sacked.
Duncan Fletcher stayed until 2015 World Cup. Shastri was brought in as the team director after India lost in 2014 to England.
In England
Yeah,
only.
Yeah. After the test
So
series, you had
Fletcher
Shastri as
stayed.
a team director.
So Duncan
Duncan Slade.
weathered that storm.
He stayed. Yeah, so. But yeah, I mean, just forget that generally. What do you think?
I think yes, he should be sacked. As simple as that. If there is one thing that literally I was very shocked to see that after the Border Gavaskar Trophy, everyone was pinpointing Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli and all the other batters who did not perform. I think nobody actually talked about the team combinations. Why were you consistently playing bits and pieces cricketers? Why were you consistently having a lineup that was not conducive to a proper Test 11?
Well,
but that would have
that's
been
exactly
equally-
what we did every show.
No, we did, but I'm sure that
No,
that
there were
wasn't a
questions asked
discussion,
in.
after that.
It was in general in media, press conferences. It was.
Coach was never targeted. And that's where I feel
Coach,
he should be.
I think Gautam Gambhir got a lot of flack. What are you
He
saying?
is getting almost everything that he wants. And that's where, it's a little bit shocking
He
from
was,
BCCI's part.
he was, I think, more targeted than anybody else. And by the way, if you were making those decisions, that has to largely be the captain, right? I mean, if eventually I think the team has to be selected by the captain, and I think those were big blunders, and both will have to bear equal responsibility, the captain and the coach, 100%. for your playing 11 and the things that you were doing. But I'm glad to know that that thing has changed now, where you're at least not going to that level. But anyway, it's just the start of the series. Maybe I say it too early, and then next test match again we'll see bits and pieces. We don't know. But let's see. But I think it's a joint decision, and both captain and coach need to be questioned. And I think Rohit did come under a lot of pressure, where you see now. And so I agree that if you were to lose 4-0, 5-0, then there needs to be a question asked of the coach. Maybe then the future will be you'll have different coaches in white ball and red ball for India. It's a possibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they may have to look at that.
With maybe
anyway, as far as
over,
captaincy
possible.
is concerned,
And that's another
as far as
discussion.
captaincy is
That's only
concerned,
so-
you've anyway taken to that road where you have 3 different captains across 3 different formats.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the next step, and I don't see Gambhir lasting if you get whitewashed here. Beat 3-0.
Even if you lose here, I think I still don't see
if
Gambhir
there's
lasting.
some saving,
No, if they fight hard
Yeah, if
like
there's
this
some-
test match happened, if the
Yeah.
series pans out like
if
that,
there's some sort of saving,
Then it's a different thing, yeah.
Yeah.
if there's some sort of
2-3
saving grace
or something like that.
there's some sort of saving grace in the first match for sure. You weren't humbled.
yeah, you won.
So if there's more reasons for you to believe that, or you find similar reasons going forward as well, but you see fight, where there's saving grace here, saving grace there, you don't want to just go to a new coach or bring in a new coach altogether.
That I agree.
I think you will cling to the last possible string as far as Gambhir is concerned.
No, it's not about Gambhir. I'm saying in general, your approach should always be not to always looking to sack people. If you have someone, your approach for team selection, 11, wherever, to continue, look for people to succeed. Only when you reach a situation where you're given enough chances and you think results are not coming, then you got to be looking at another prospect. So if you do see this young team put up a brave fight and they have a decent enough series, whether they lose or not, whatever, I mean, that is something that we can only talk about once the series is over. Then why would you want to change things? Yeah, but if you think the disaster that you've had in the last few months in test match cricket, that also continues here, then maybe it's time to change. You will have to see that, I guess.
Karan Toor from the US has a comment. Hello Nikhil sir, once Jadeja retires from test cricket, it would be really challenging. Who do you think replaces him?
Yeah,
+1 to what you are about to say.
I have been saying for a very long time, Karan.
6'5", certain 6'5" chap.
6'5" spinner, he is one of your best spinners, and especially in red ball.
Can even bat?
And I've been saying it before this IPL. At least now if I say his name, people will not throw stones at me because he did well in the IPL. And that's what people judge him by. But that's not how I judged him. I actually saw him red ball and then I had high praise. Sai Kishore, you have to go for him. A very good left arm spinner.
Sai
Proper.
Kishore, I have a very strong feeling that he is going to make his India debut later in the home season.
And I'm saying the thing is that, again, because people not aware of his credential with red ball, that's why I'm saying thank God he had a decent IPL. At least people now accept it. If he hadn't had a decent IPL, I would have said Sai Kishore, they would have said, come on. So you needed an IPL to prove that he can be brought into test.
Shubham Garg is saying that India played 2 spinners on Sydney pitch. That sums up Gambhir's coaching style. How can someone play 2 spinners on that Sydney pitch with so much movement? I think usually, traditionally the Sydney track, it does, offer a lot for the spinners. Australia have played 2 spinners multiple times. And I think the thought was right. It's just that, Sydney test for the very first time, that Sydney pitch, I think it played differently.
Yeah.
Like it was a rarity that happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed. Chalo, on that note, we're going to take your leave. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Be good. See you tomorrow. Really excited. It's always the eve of the match that gets us very excited. Tomorrow, we're going to be live 2:45.
That's right.
2:45, 15 minutes before the toss, and then we're going to be live till the match starts. And then, of course, we're live throughout this series or this test match. Every session, as we were in the first test match, and we thoroughly enjoyed your company throughout that first test match, and looking forward to your company in this test match as well. Hope that we can live up to your expectations. If you're joining us late, do check out the entire preview. We've looked at a lot of aspects when we have previewed this test match. Yeah, and for those of you interested in what Shubman Gill spoke in the press conference, that presser is going to be premiering on the channel in the next 5 minutes. So you can hear Shubman Gill. Shakshat Shubman khud honge.
Yeah.
Bye.